It can be hard sometimes to diagnose if we have become offended in Christ. But in Luke chapter 7, it says, "Blessed is he who is not offended in me." Luke 7:23. I was reading that in my devotions. And it's not comfortable. It doesn't sit well on us to always admit, what if I'm offended with God? That almost seems offensive. And yet it is part of our human struggle and the human condition. It's important to diagnose that, um, because he specifically says, blessed is someone who understands that that is a potential and surrenders that struggle. So what does that look like? I was reading in Streams of the Desert. If you don't have that devotional, I would encourage you would find that one to give some really meaty, short thoughts for each day of the year. This one just says Streams in the Desert for Graduates. It might even be a simplified version. I'm not sure. But check it out if you're looking for a devotional. But today it says, "Blessed is he who is not offended in me." Now, sometimes it's very difficult not to be offended in Christ, for the offense can result for so many of our circumstances. I may find myself confined to a narrow area of service when I'd really hoped for a wider opportunity. I might be isolated through sickness, which is interesting because that's been common this year, especially for our elderly. Um, I might be taking an unpopular stance, which is pretty hard to go through. If that's you and you're a Christian standing up for truth right now, there's a lot of division between Christians and non-Christians, and even in the Christian circle. And it can be hard to stand for truth, and sometimes offenses come. And yet the Lord knows what is best, and my surroundings are determined by him. Whenever he places me, he does so to strengthen my faith and to draw me in communion with him. So even if confined to a dungeon, my soul will prosper. The offense that causes me to turn from Christ may be emotional. I may be continually confused and troubled over questions that I can't solve, because when I gave myself to him, I had hoped that my skies would always be fair, and yet often they are stormy and overcast. I must believe that when difficulties remain, it is that I might learn to trust him completely, a trust that means I am no longer afraid. And it is through my mental and emotional struggles that I am being trained to tutor others who are being tossed in the storm. The offense causing me to turn away may be spiritual, because I had imagined that once I was in his fold, I would never again suffer from this kind of strong wind. And yet it is best for me, for when I endure temptation, his grace is magnified, my character will mature, and heaven seems sweeter at the end of the day. So this is what I thought as I read that. Sometimes I say that what we're living through right now is like this reversal of Eden. It is a reversal of what the original creation in heaven with the angels and what happened with Adam and Eve in the garden, because we know that the angels fell. They were not content with God's original plan for them. And so they fell and said, we will esteem our own way. And then this happened again with Adam and Eve. And so here's God watching his own pattern of creation that says, there is a goodness in me to abound, and they are not content with that. And so in this plan, when the Trinity met and the council of God met, they said, we're going to redeem them after some of this struggle. They're going to get their way of the flesh, and they're going to get their way of the devil having a reign here to try and tempt us. And those who, through that pull of the flesh, choose to surrender their will to me, they're the ones who will enter into the kingdom. It's going to be the complete opposite. It is through being tried by fire that you look to Jesus and you say, you are worth it all. That heaven to us will be the sweetest thing we've ever been after centuries of humanity's struggle. Either we go through it, we watch people go through it, or we read about it and we say every day, I can't wait for heaven in Jesus. I can't wait for heaven in Jesus. That is the opposite of what Adam and Eve went through, the opposite of what the original angels went through. They had that with not the original time of struggle that we're having. And they said, no, we haven't seen different, and this still isn't good enough. And we're not going to have that. We are going to have said, through fire, I choose you, Lord. And then he's going to let us enter into the kingdom. And it says we are going to rule and reign over the angels. Why would that be? Can you hear why that would be? Because it's going to be a complete opposite offering of sacrifice that says, Lord, you sacrificed for me to be able now to give my life to you back on the altar. And would you consume it with your power? Sorry, hit the wall of my passion. Would you consume that and make me about you, you in me? Oh, I don't even have words. It's going to be glorious, even though ours starts with trial and theirs did not. But understand it has a purpose. When you get that your life starts at your last breath, choose him and you will rule and reign above all of these, because it costs something different for God to come to you, and it's going to cost something different for you to surrender to him. But it's going to mean something different in that world to come. And that's where he says, have faith to believe. And you who haven't seen me and believe are blessed. You who are not offended in me are blessed. Let God awaken that in you and choose, Lord. Don't let me be offended. Let us not be offended today, because your plan is so beyond what we can imagine. He says your eyes and your ears, you can't comprehend. Be willing to be tried now. Be willing. It's going to be worth it. Have a great day, and let's work together on this so that we can be ready when he comes to get us. I really think it's soon.